Damn. Hey guys, so I am going to be doing a Discord.net tutorial series. So I've done a Discord.js tutorial, like a short one. I did a video which ended because of my old computer crashed on JDA music. Which I was kind of mad about that, but it's what it is. So I'm going to be doing a Discord.net series. So I personally like using Discord.net over other languages such as Synergy, which is for Rust, Discord.js, Eris, which are both for JavaScript. I never use Discord.py, but that's for Python. JDA, Discord for J, which is for Java. I personally like Discord.net because of how friendly it is, and it feels a lot better to code in. So Discord.net of course is made in C#. .NET Core is a framework for C#. You have .NET Framework and .NET Core, but we're going to be using Core as it's just more standard basically. So I'm going to be using Visual Studio 2019. Anyway, so you gotta choose it. I'm just going to call this Panda 2.0 because I use, if you don't know me, I use a bot called Panda 2.0 for a lot of my tutorials, and I use it for testing a lot of things, so it's more useful for me to use it. But anyways, I'm going to have this in this location because I have a better D drive than I have for a C drive, which is pretty much. Create. So there's Discord.net, and you also have, there's another one. I'm trying to think of what's the other library. I don't know why I opened there. So this is what you'll get when you open or make a new project. So C# uses NuGet as its package manager. So like JavaScript has npm for its package manager, which is no package manager. You also have Gradle and Maven for Java. C# uses NuGet, which is nice because Visual Studio has a built-in integrated NuGet tool for us. So we can use this to look up what we need. So we're going to need Discord.net, of course. As you can see, we can just do this and it'll install. We'll accept it. Okay. I think it's finished. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to be doing the actual main code outside of the program .cs file. So the program.cs file is what's going to be executing. When we run the program, it'll execute this folder first. However, we're going to build our code in a separate folder and call on it from in the program.cs file. So we're going to click on this is the CS project, and this the top one above it is the solution. But we're going to click on the project first. We're going to go to add, and we're going to go to add new class. And we're just going to call this bot.cs. We can call it really anything. You can call your bot's name, like I call it Panda 2.0 or Panda, but I'm just going to call it bot. And so first thing we need to make sure this is public, and we're going to need a few things in here. C# uses using as its imports keyword. So we'll be using that a lot. So we're going to be, first we need using, we're going to need to use system.threading.task. The reason we need this is so that we can do async async stuff. So we have async and synchronously. C# is nice enough that it runs and it can be run in either or, thanks to threading.task, which allows us to use async. Async basically means it has to wait for the thing that we're waiting for to execute before we continue. Synchronously just goes through everything, doesn't wait for anything. There's a lot of good videos of explaining what the difference between the two, but we're going to do a lot of things in async because we need the stuff to be in async. We also need to include Discord, Discord.net package. We also need Discord.commands. This allows us to integrate its own command manager or command handler, whatever one you want to call it. We are also going to do .websocket. WebSocket is made for just to interact with Discord. It allows us to connect to it and all that stuff. We also need using system.reflection and using system.link. Reflection is for files. It allows us to use assembly files, or just in general just allows us to talk to files. Link, whatever you want to say, how you say it, that's mainly for lists. It's mainly for sorting and like just giving us more options to deal with lists, arrays, all that sort. And that's all the packages we need. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make a private Discord socket client. We're going to call this client. I should explain this before. C#, when you're programming in C#, you'll notice that the brackets are actually under the actual line. Like most languages would have the brackets like that. In C#, it doesn't. It makes it more cleaner in a way. People do complain about this, but for me, I find it cleaner having it like this. And they like to have a lot of objects having their names capitalized. It's just a C# thing, and you'll notice I do that a lot. But anyways, we also need a private command service, and we're going to call this commands. We also need a private iService provider. We're going to call this service. So the command service is for allows us to integrate the command handler, command manager. It's just literally to handle all of our commands. The service is going to be for services, which you can look up videos for explaining what they are. But a brief rundown of it is just mainly for us to integrate some of our stuff into our program. It's like dependency injection, a lot, basically. I don't know too much about it. I just know we can use it, and it allows us to integrate some stuff easier. So we have that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a constructor. So we're going to do bot, and inside this we're going to create the client and the commands. I'm actually looking through the my old code because I'm using that. We don't even need to have the service there. But we can if we really want to. So in here we need to create the client, which is going to be a new Discord socket client, and it needs a new Discord socket config. The config is just for us to customize the bot however we want. So what we're going to do is just deal with the log levels. So log severity dot debug, and that's really all we need in here. Next one is going to be the commands. Commands is equal to a command service, which is going to pass in a command service config. And this is also exactly the same thing, but we're going to add a few more things. Case sensitive commands equals true. This basically makes the bot be more sensitive to the commands. So instead of having it respond, say, like for ping, we're going to use plus for our prefix. Instead of having the bot to respond to that and to this, it will only respond to whatever we want, which will be ping lowercase. You can remove it and it won't deal with it. It can be either or, but we're just going to do that. And then we also need to define what the default run mode is, which we're going to do run mode .async, because we want things to be running in async, because we want to wait for it to be done before we continue. And we just need to do log levels, which will be log severity, and we're going to do debug. So I should explain this. So debug basically means it's going to sense everything. Whenever something happens in Discord, or when Discord talks to our bot, the client, it will send every single information. If you don't want that, you can go for reverse, if I can speak right now, but basically this just sends us the information we really need and just doesn't send everything. But for testing purposes, we use debug because we want everything. We can see what's happening and what's not. And that's really all we need in the constructor. So the constructor, when we call on it, it will create the client commands service for us. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create the main function, which will be public async task main async. So in here, so you'll notice in C# or just in any language, you have public void, we can say main, right? This is the return type. Void is the return type. We can also say int, and that's the return type. So when you look at async task, async is actually not the return type. Task is the return type. Task is basically, well, technically async task is a return type, is one thing together. And if you just do task, it's its own return statement, which throws in there because it wants us to return something. But anyways, task is a return type. Async task is also another return type, which is just a void statement basically. But with async as our keyword up here, we're allowed to use the await command. The await command allows us to wait for something to be done before we continue. So before we can continue, we should actually make this, because we already have it. So we're going to use an arrow function, and we're going to say, hold on, I need to look this up real quick. Wrong page. Okay, we are going to basically say new bot. So this is going to call on the constructor, create our client in the commands. Okay, and we're going to say a main async. So it's going to grab the main async, it's going to run that code for us. Then we need to do get a waiter. This will waits for, or takes the async stuff and waits for it and all that stuff. And we need to do get results. Get results is basically getting what's happening from there. a lot of this you don't need to know, but this is all the code that you will need in this file. Now we can go back here and we can continue working on it, but first I think it would be better if we make a new file and we call this be config.cs, and we're going to use this, and we're going to be dealing with JSON for our credentials. We're going to leave that there. We're going to do a private const string config folder is equal to resources. Okay. And private const string config file is equal to config.json. Okay, and we also need to import some stuff, so we need system.link using system.threading.task using system.io and using newtonsoft.json. System.io allows us to interact with files, also input and output, which is why it's called .io. And then newtonsoft.json allows us to work with JSON files, allows us to write in or read a JSON file. We also need in here, we're going to make a public struct bot config. So struct is similar to an interface, however a struct is for an object. Interfaces are made for classes more. So in a struct we can use this kind of syntax or style. So we need the token, of course. We can do get and a set. Basically what this is saying is that we can get the token or we can set the token. If we did, which is, I know this is a way, if we did private set, this means that only this file can set the token, but anywhere else we can get the token. We don't need private because we are going to be setting it anywhere else, and we're not going to have an eval command, which basically means you can run code within a command. We don't need that. We'll also need the string. We're going to just say prefix. And actually we should need to fix that. I'm just going to capitalize these. You don't have to, but I personally like seeing things capitalized in here. And we can do private static. Static means it does, I'm probably thinking of abstract. Static just means it's not, abstract is when it doesn't have a body. Static is when, oh, I need to look this up. Okay, yeah, so static means it's relating to the type itself rather than an instance of the type. So what that means is saying that instead of, so when you make it when you call on something, you're creating an instance of that object. Static is when it's related to, so it's saying like instead of creating it, relates to the object. Anyway, so we're going to do we're going to relate to the bot config, so we're going to create our own bot config, not make a new instance of it. And we're going to call this config. Okay. And then we need a static config And then what we're going to do in this code is we're going to do an if not directory dot exists, which is going to be config folder, not file but folder. That's the one thing I hate about Visual Studio Code, not code but Visual Studio. Okay. So basically, if it doesn't exist, so if resource doesn't exist, we are going to make, so we're going to do directory.create directory config folder. Okay, so basically that's saying what I explained. If the directory doesn't exist, it will create it for us. Which is nice, because we're not going to make it because we don't know where exactly it's going to be. So we're going to make it create and we're going to search for it, which I already know where the location is. But anyway, so if not file dot exists, okay, config folder plus, and then we do config file, then what we are going to do here is actually we're going to do a bot equals a new config, no, not config, but bot config. And I just realized that we can't have that there, so we're going to say bot instead. So bot, and we're going to change this to be bot. Reason why I had changed that is because of it's ambiguous. It's meaning that two things have the exact same name, which can cause conflict, which means I had the class name as config and I had a object as class as config, so it didn't know which one I'm referring to. Okay, now we're going to do a string JSON equals JSON. So we want JSON convert dot serialize, which means it's going to parse. So it's going to create JSON for us. If we're doing deserializing or deserialized object, it means we're going to stringify it and make it into a string instead of making JSON to string instead of string to JSON. But, and then we're going to do formatting dot indent will just formatting dot indent just indents for us. So every new line we indent unless it's the same or ending character basically. Okay. We also need to do is file.write all lines, right? No, all text. Okay, and then we do config folder plus config file. Okay, and then we want to add JSON. Okay, so basically it's saying if the file doesn't exist, it will create it for us, and when we first run it, it will not run. That's because it's creating the file and it's going to be null, so we have to search for it and then put our stuff in, and then we can run it again. Next we want to do let's say if it does exist. I also should probably put this else under. Okay, then what we're going to do is string JSON equals file.read all text config folder plus this, nope, plus config file. Okay, and then bot equals JSON convert dot deserialize, which I explained what that does, bot config, and we say JSON. So now what this does is basically it will search. So this one, when we create it, it will search, it will put in token and prefix for us. When we deserialize it and we're going to pass it into bot with bot config in there, it will pass all of our stuff into the struct, which is nice. So we don't have to we don't have to make like this crazy code just to do that. We can just pass it into a struct, and that's really all we need in here. So now we can go back into bot, and config is now global, so we can access it anywhere we want, which is nice because we need a prefix for other things. So we can go back to the bot.cs file and finish this off here. So what we need to do is we need to say client.ready, and we want to subscribe to it. Okay, we're going to call this ready event. So subscribing to an event, well, first let me explain what an event is. And an event is essentially what it sounds like. It executes when an event was triggered. So example is the ready event. The ready event triggers when the bot is ready. It'll only execute when the bot's ready, so it only executes once, not when the bot gets a message or as such, is only when it's ready. Okay. We also need to do a client.log. I forgot to explain what subscribing is, but subscribing basically means you're recreating it. You're creating the event. It's hard to explain because it's a weird concept, but basically you're recreating it, but you're using what it has for you. So client.log, I'll show you what I'm talking about with this log client, or client log. Let's do that. Client log. Okay, so you can see here it created a log message args, or args with the log message as its object. This is what subscribing is. Subscribing is basically taking it's kind of like an interface, implementing it. You take a method and whatever it has as its parameters and such, you take it, but you recreate what you want. So in here we can remove this. I'm trying to think this through. I do not need it to be async, so we can go down here, return task.complete task, because task needs a return type. It's not like async task, which is more of a void type. And then we can say console.write log write line, and we're going to do this. So this notation is $signs, and then the quotations allows us to import a object into a string. So similar to how JavaScript has the backticks with the $sign and brackets, is very similar to that, which is nice. So we can do right here, as you can see, I can do datetime.now, and we say at, and then we're going to change this to be message. Okay, yeah, as you can see, that happened. It doesn't always do it if you break out the string, but anyways, we're going to do dot source, and then we're going to say message. So this is this will only execute when the client gets something or important, basically. So basically whatever Discord sends to us, it will log it for us. Okay, go down here, and this is the ready event, and we do want this to be async, so we don't need to return anything. So we do await client.set game async, and we do client.current user.username is ready. You can change this to be whatever. Actually, I'm going to change this, and we're going to show you how what I'm talking about with the config file. We can do config dot a new config. It should be like that. Nope. What was it? I'm looking. Oh yeah. config.bot. What am I missing? I'm missing something, I feel like. I am. So we do config .bot. Am I? Oh, I don't think I... Yeah, I made this be private. Private basically blocks it from being viewed, so it should be public. Go back to bot. Now I can do config.bot.token. But we don't want token, we want the prefix. And then we're going to say like help. Await client client, it should be set status async. And then we do user status dot online. Okay. So these two will basically set stuff. You'll see it later once we execute, but we're going to do also console.write, and we're going to do this. We're going to do client dot current user dot username is ready. Okay. Yeah, I don't need to explain any of this except for this. This is a enum or an enumerator. I won't explain it because it's hard to explain. You can search up videos for it because they'll probably explain it a lot better. We're not going to be dealing with a lot of enums or enumerators except for Discord stuff. Anyways, so we have that. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to do if config.bot.token is equal to nothing, or config.bot.token is equal to null, because it can be null, we'll return it. Okay. And then client.login, and we want to do async, and then we want to do a token type, and this is going to be a bot, and we want to do config.bot.token, and we do await client.start, okay, and then we do await task.delay, and then we do -1. The reason for -1 is that honestly I forgot what it does, but I remember that if you do 1 it will shut off. If we do -1 it will not like stop. It will continue running until we tell it to stop. So if you don't have this, it will turn on then turn off. That's basically what it'll do. If we have it, which we do, it will not do that to us. So now we can work on, we're going to make a new folder, a new file, and we're going to call this to be command manager.cs. Okay. The command manager or command handler is basically what handles all of our commands. So we need a few things. We're going to need using Discord, using discord.commands, using discord.websocket, using discord. No, we don't need Discord. We need system.threading.task, using system.reflection, using system link, using system. I think that's all we need. Yeah, it looks like all we need. So we need to make this a public class. Okay, we need to make we need a few things. So we need to do private read only, Discord. Yeah, Discord socket client. Read only basically means it can only read. It can only get the object. It can't set, well, it can't modify the object. It can only read it. And we also need a private read only command service commands. Okay. Now we need to do the public command manager. This is the constructor. We need Discord socket client. And we're going to do, actually, what I'm going to do is C# syntax right here. We're going to do underscore for the actual objects and put it in for parameters the actual one. So we can do client. We need command service or command manager. No, this should be service actually. I think about it. And then we do commands. And then we do client is equal to client. Commands equals commands. Not command manager, but commands. Okay. Okay, yeah, so what this will do, which I can show right here, we're going to go over here. We're going to go up here. And we're going to basically initialize it. So we need to do command manager. We're going to call this CMD manager. It's equal to a new command manager. It's going to pass in client and commands. Okay. So this allows us to interact with command manager now. Okay. Which is perfect. Now we need to do a public async task initialization. Initialize async. I think I spelled that right. It probably will tell me later. What we want to do is to do await commands. Commands. Forgot doing C# syntax commands. Dot add modules. Async. And then we're going to do assembly. Dot get entry assembly. Okay. Is this right? This should be right. Oh yeah, I forgot something. Forgot that we're not doing anything with services, so this is going to be null. And that should be right, and I forgot this needs to be a method. Okay. We have commands. Keep forgetting that. Okay, so commands.log. We're going to subscribe to it. Command log. And we also need the client.message received. Same thing, so the command log is the exact same thing as the client log, except it's for the commands. And then we're going to deal with the message event. Okay. So let's do the message. Actually, no. Let's deal with the command log first because it's easier. Message, or actually commands. Command, right? I can do command, right? Either one's fine, to be honest. Okay, and we want to return a task dot complete task, and then console dot write line, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do, actually we don't need that, we can do message command dot message, and that's it. Now we're going to go over here, and we do need to change this to be async. We're going to change this args to be message parameter. It'll make sense in a few seconds. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is first get the message object. So message is equal to message parameter as a socket user message. So basically what this syntax or this thing does is basically is saying, because socket message could be multiple things, but we specifically want the socket user message object from it. So we're basically saying message is going to be message parameter, but as a socket user message. Essentially what it means. If that's confusing, then I don't know how to make it unconfusing. But anyways, we need context here as well. It's going to be a new socket command context. We're going to pass in the client, which is client, and we also need the message. Okay, so if context dot message is equal to null, I forgot that's okay, null, or context dot message dot content is equal to nothing, then we want to return. Okay, if context dot user dot is bot, return. Essentially what these are called checks. Checks are basically true or false, which is what Boolean is. They check to make sure something is true. If not, then it returns or it does something. They're called checks because we're specifically saying an if statement. We're not doing an if else statement or an if else statement. We're only doing an if statement for it, so it's called a check. Because then because we're returning something, but under it we have our actual code. And we want an int args pos. Args pos is the position of the arguments, basically. You'll see why it's called that. So we need to do an if, and then we're going to do if, yeah, I'm doing that right. Message dot has a string prefix. We can do config dot bot dot prefix, and we want to refer to the args pos. Okay, or message dot has a string, or has a mention prefix, which is going to be client dot current user, which refers to the args pos. The mention prefix is basically when we add the bot, it will respond. Anyways, and then we're making this to be a check as well. So it's saying if it does not have the string prefix or a mention prefix for the bot, it will not do anything. Okay. Then we're doing a var results equals await commands dot execute context args pos. I don't know why that's there. Args pos or null. Okay, and then if result is unsuccessful, so we're doing some checks for error handling and all that stuff, specifically for one thing, or actually two things. The first one is checking if the result.error is not equal to command error.unknown command. So this is going to prevent it from sending like error messages that's specifically talking about commands that are not existing on the bot, because we don't want that. Okay. Oops. Okay, we're going to do a console dot write, and we're going to do, actually we're going to copy this because I have it here and it's pretty long. I'll explain what this is in a second. Okay, so the first thing, I need to fix up a little bit. Okay, so the first one says, so we're going to do date time dot now, which is the current time basically is a command. So we're going to do a command dot search. We're going to pass in context in args which will search for the commands. We're going to do commands, and since it's an array, we can use an array syntax, which is basically doing this, the square brackets, and then we put in the index, which we want the first command that is the exact same result for the context. We want to get the dot command, which is the command object, and then the name, which is going to be a string. And we're going to do that, and we're going to say this is for n. Like, where is it? Oops, pressed the wrong thing. Nope, I'm not. Okay, same thing basically, but we're going to search for the module, which is what category is it in, what file, blah blah blah, all that. And we want to get the name, and then we're going to say result.error result or reason. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this as well because I'm kind of lazy right now for this part. Anyways, so I'm going to explain. So the other thing that we don't want to happen. What's happening here? Oh, forgot. That should fix it. Yep. Okay. So the other error we want to prevent from happening is if the error reason is the input text has too few parameters. This is, we don't want to throw an error for this because it basically means the user didn't supply enough arguments, or it's, yeah, basically doesn't mean, it means it doesn't have the right amount of arguments. So instead of doing this, because this doesn't help at all, we're going to say error, this command requires something, check help command to see what it needs. And we're doing this in embed, as you can see, which we're doing a new embed builder. Embed builder allows us to build embeds basically. And then and else if it's not, then we're going to do the same thing with the title, but we're going to do result.error reason, so what the actual reason is. And then we do wait context channel.send message async. We don't even need to have the quotations here, we can just do this embed. This is basically saying what primer we're referring to, and then the embed.build. If we didn't put the .build here, it will not run. It'll throw an error, so we have to add the .build here. That's usually what is most of the time. If it doesn't, if it throws an error there, it's probably because it's not, you didn't specify to build the embed, or you didn't clarify which parameter you're accessing. So this is basically done here. We're gonna make a new folder here real quick. We're gonna do core essentially, and then we're gonna do in here, we're gonna add a new folder called commands, and in here we're gonna just do one quick command, which is going to be the prefix command. And then I think that's just going to be done, all we're going to do for today. We're just going to do commands in category files. Okay, so we're going to have one called miscellaneous. Okay, so how commands work here, let me make sure this is public, because if it's not public it can't be accessed. We're going to use Discord, and we're using discord.commands and using system.threading.task. Okay, so the thing about commands, we have to add a module base, we have to basically extend it. Okay, and we want to extend to the command socket command context. So now we have these attributes that we can use. You can call them attributes, macros, basically whatever you want to call it, you can call it that. They have multiple names, but I'm just going to call them attributes because that's how C# calls it, but they can be called macros as well. But first, before we can do that without having any errors, because I don't like it when I see errors, because I think something's wrong, we're going to define it. So we're going to do public async task, and we're going to do ping command. Okay, now we can do attributes without yelling at us, and then we can do command, and we can say ping, aliases, we can say latency, and we can do summary, which is displays the bot's current latency. So these are our attributes. This is how we clarify what the command is, or what a command is, or what does the command do, or what initializes it. So you don't have to do it this way. You can actually do, like, you can have them in one attribute. You can do aliases and do that, but I prefer to have things separated and such. But anyway, so when we can run ping or latency, which I need this to be lowercase, lowercase, because it's case sensitive. But anyways, we're gonna just do a simple one. Wait context. You will be using context a lot. Channel dot not file send dot send message async, and we're going to do the object injection. We're going to say pong the bot's ping is going to be context dot client dot latency, and we're going to add milliseconds here. Okay, so that's all we need to do for command. That's literally all we need to do. So we can now run it. Oh wait, I forgot. I can do that in a second. So I got this. So you can see it stopped because we told it to, because we all run with a null key. We need to go back in here real quick, and then we need to initialize the command, command manager. So, and we do await cmd manager dot initialize async. Okay. So I'm gonna open my files here. Programs. Actually, open folder. There we go. I don't know why it's there, but anyways. So to find it, we can go here, bin, debug, right here. Where is it? Resources, config. Okay, and you see we'll have null there and that stuff. So I'm going to enter my credentials here. So I entered my credentials now. Okay. So we have Discord open here. It's right here. Okay. So we're gonna run it real quick. See, this is what debug does. It gives us everything, so I'll show you in a second. So you can see, so if I start typing, see, it'll say typing started, such. And then we also do here member lists. I did not even, I think I have it in here, unless if I don't. I don't think I have it in here. I might be blind. I do. Anyway, so this server is GPG, Giant Panic Globe. This is, you can join here and we can help you with making Discord bots and such. I run this with Pendev. We both work with a lot of people with it. with Discord bots in any language really. But anyways, so we're going to do test the ping command, and it works. As you can see, so it works. I think, yeah, so it works. And you see, so if we want to stop this, we can do Control C, do it twice, and we can hit enter. And we're done. So this is like a short one. Next video is going to probably be more of what a dynamic help command and what a static command is, or static help command is, and then probably working with arguments and working a little bit more in depth of what C# is and how it is different from other languages. But this is mainly what how you can start your bot. I encourage you to try and make some of this look better. You can do lots of stuff here. You can change what this does. You can make it be different, how more helpful, or you can add more features to it. But I encourage you to go beyond this and try new things, try and make it. If you need help, you can join GPG. I can help you. I don't know if PandaDev will be able to help you. He does more with JavaScript, but he might say a few things because he did a little bit in it. But you can always ask me for help. You can ask a lot of the people in here. They might know how to do it or such. I can help you with JavaScript, Java, Rust, see what else, C#. Mainly those languages. I work in those the most. Python, you can probably ask Harbar. He does a lot of stuff in Python and JavaScript. And then some of our members will pop in maybe. But yeah, so if you need help, you can join the server, which I'll have the link at the bottom of the video. But anyways, yeah, so that's this tutorial. So yeah, I'll see you next time with the next tutorial.